Microsoft recently held their 20th anniversary stream to celebrate 20 years of Xbox and therefore 20 years of Halo, and rumours had been circulating the weekend before related to an early launch of Halo Infinite multiplayer, and it actually happened. Well, today I'm going to have a look at Halo Infinite and go over my early impressions of the multiplayer after about 10 hours of playtime. Well, Halo Infinite's multiplayer has been released early and it's a nice surprise, even though it was slightly spoiled over the weekend before. Keeping something 100% secret these days is really tricky. However, I'm not really sure there was someone out there that was 100% confident of the release. If you're like me, you may have heard the rumours, but I was really doubtful that it was actually going to happen. But saying that, it was a perfect time, So it was Xbox and Halo's 20th anniversary, plus Battlefield 2042, perhaps had the worst launch possible the weekend before. So this was the perfect time to launch, and whoever made that decision to launch early, well, hats off to you. And Halo Infinite does have a beta badge at the moment, and it is its first season, Heroes of Reach, and that has officially kicked off and it's going to run until next May in 2022. Well, it was released early, but let's have a look at what has been released. So Halo Infinite is a free-to-play multiplayer arena shooter, and for the majority of the time it's 4v4 in quick play and ranked modes. Everyone starts with the same weapons, so you got a pistol and an auto rifle, and there's various game modes where you either have to score the most points in the allotted time, or complete the objective-based game modes. So as well as 4v4, there's also Big Team Battle with 12 vs 12, and that is pretty chaotic, plus full of vehicles and heavy weapons too. We've also got the various customization options for our Spartan, where we can change the appearance through colour, attachments, AI, and then you've got the battle pass and the progression, but we're going to get into that a little bit later on. Firstly, the feel of the game is very distinctly Halo. For me, this is 343 knocking it out of the park in terms of how a Halo game should feel. You got the gunplay, the movement, the time to kill, they're all pretty much spot on. So if you follow This Week in Video Games, well, you're going to know I'm a fan of Destiny and also the Bungie era of Halo, and then I dropped off when it came to Halo Reach multiplayer, and then 4 and 5 didn't really sit well with me. There's something about the 343 era of Halo games that have just felt off in some respect, but Halo Infinite feels just right. I particularly appreciate the modern features like running, aiming down sights and mantling. So you may laugh when hearing that list, as it's all a pretty standard thing when you think about other games like Apex Legends, Call of Duty, Destiny 2 and Fortnite, but these features were missing from what I would call the glory days of Halo multiplayer with 2 and 3, and these features really do bring it right up to date. The time to kill is longer than in most games, meaning you can go into an encounter, have a gunfight with one or two opponents, and potentially come out on top. So if you end up facing more than one player and they team shot you, it's highly likely that you're not going to survive. But this isn't Valorant or Call of Duty, and the time to kill is pretty high, so I would focus on breaking those shields and taking down your opponents as quick as you can. Well, the fact that everyone starts off the same is perfect, and there's no nonsense starter abilities, which is really refreshing. So this is all about map knowledge, positioning and knowing where the weapons are, and also knowing where the abilities spawn too. Abilities aren't too oppressive, and you've got things like a shield that you can throw down, the repulsor, which allows you to reflect grenades, plus if you use it against the ground, you can actually jump up high into the sky. You've got an overshield, also an invisibility cloak, plus the grapple hook too. Well, the simple grapple hook was laughed at when it was shown off in the 2020 Halo gameplay reveal. Everyone thought, grapple hook, is that it? Is that all you could come up with? But it's one of the best additions to the game, and it really allows you to create those hero moments which are infinitely shareable on social media. So you can jump off a building and grapple onto your opponent, shooting them as you slide towards them, and then finish them with a swift melee to the face. And you can also grapple a Banshee midair and chuck out the pilot, and then go on to kill the remaining teammates raining down lasers from the sky. And you can also use the grapple to save yourself from falling off the edge. So I think one of the best clips I've seen is someone grappling onto a Warthog, taking over the driving while enemy passengers on board, then driving off the edge of the map, killing the opponent, and then grappling back to safe in one swift manoeuvre. If the grapple hook was a meme when it was first shown off, it's definitely not now. It has to be one of the best features added to the game. So Halo Infinite does have a few game modes to start off with, which are split between quick play and big team battle. So within quick play, this is split further to Capture the Flag, Oddball, Slayer, Fiesta. You've got Stronghold 2. So capture the flag as we have to get the opponent's flag and return it to your base. We're trying to stop the enemy team from doing the same thing. Oddball is where you have to hold a skull and accrue points to win. And then you've got Slayer is your standard deathmatch style game mode. And Fiesta is where you start with a random weapon, and it's definitely pretty chaotic, but loads of fun. And finally you got Stronghold, where you have to hold down a zone, either A, B or C, and when you control 2 zones, well, you gain points. We've also got big team battle modes, which are 12v12 gameplay, so big team battle tends to be played on bigger maps and usually involves vehicles, so I have seen feedback from players who think there's not enough game modes have been added, but personally I think there's plenty of gamers. So I think players are just comparing it to MCC, which to be honest has been iterated on over a number of years. Finally, we've also got ranked mode, so if you want to get sweaty and competitive, this is the place to be, and you have to play a few matches to get ranked, but it's great to see 343 that the game is set up to be competitive from day one. So there's a mix of old and new weapons here, including the trusty pistol and automatic rifle, which you start with. The battle rifle returns and feels great. You've got the classic rockets, energy sword and carbine too, plus you've got some new weapons including the shot rifle, the Mangler, Disruptor, Bulldog, Heatwave, Stalker rifle, Skewer, Cinder Shot and also the Ravager as well. So you've got plenty of classic weapons to get nostalgic about, but also loads of new weapons to play with as well. So Halo Infinite has events too, and the first one kicked off on the 23rd November and runs until the 30th, and the first event is called Fractures Tenrai, and the introduction of the event brings its own battle pass and loads of cosmetics, which includes some awesome looking samurai style armour. So as well as your regular battle pass, the event introduces a dedicated event pass, which you then have to progress to unlock the cosmetics. Well, unfortunately the progression in Halo Infinite is in a tough place at the moment due to the slow nature of progression, so Fractures Tenrai also brought Fiesta with it, which is a fun, albeit a little chaotic game mode, where you spawn with random weapons. Yeah, it's fun, but a little bit frantic. The main sticking point with the launch at the moment has been the progression of the Battle Pass, and this has been further exacerbated by the seasonal event. So 343 wanted the progression of the Battle Pass to be directly related to challenges, which would reward the amount of XP per challenge completed. Well, the feedback from the audience was immediate, and progression was too slow, and the challenges forced you to play a particular way, and there was no way to passively earn XP through just playing. So 343 have been on a short break since the launch, as I imagine they've been crunching really hard to get the game out on time, and unfortunately for 343 a bunch of feedback has come in from the audience related to progression and cosmetics, and their inbox is going to be bursting at the seams when they get back from their well-deserved break. So I think in the grand scheme of things, it's a pretty good problem to have. You know, the worst case scenario would be the community complaining about the gameplay, the gunplay and the feel of the game. However, much of the feedback has been focused on the battle pass and the progression, which doesn't feel too difficult to solve. You know, there's going to be a number of short-term fixes, and then 343 have already responded by making XP available by playing matches, and it does look highly likely a wholesale revamp of the battle pass system is needed, but it is encouraging that 343 have said they're open to feedback and working with the community. You know, I think it could be a whole lot worse for 343. The reviews for the most important aspect of the game, like gameplay, are pretty glowing, and hopefully through feedback and iteration, they can get the Battle Pass back on track. Well, that is it for my early thoughts for the Halo Infinite multiplayer. After about 10 hours of gameplay, I'd love to hear what you think on patreon.com/thisweekinvideogames. It'd be great to hear what you think of this revamped version of Halo, and was it worth the wait? Well, that is it for my thoughts on Halo Infinite multiplayer, and as always, thank you so much for watching. Hit that subscribe button down below and subscribe to This Week in Video Games. If you want to join the community, check out the Discord link in the description, or you can follow me on Twitter at TWIVG Podcast. If you enjoyed this video, found it useful, liking and sharing the video would really help me out. Otherwise, check out the other videos on the channel. Thanks again. I'll see you soon.